My name is Demopoulos. I'm a musician and primarily a guitar player, composer, producer. This is an instrument I made that I call the Smomid, which is an acronym for String Modeling MIDI Device. What it is it's basically a MIDI controller, and if you walk into any music store and you say I want a MIDI controller, this is what they're going to show you, a keyboard. And the thing is, I don't really play this. I play guitar and I play bass, so I didn't have a way to interface with my computer, the laptop, so I had to build something that I could play. I have another band called Exegesis, and we use a lot of samplers and pedals and interactive software, and my initial idea was to build a MIDI controller for a drummer. So I took this class in how to build a MIDI controller, and the teacher showed us these strips, and as soon as I saw that, my brain was just like, that's a string, because I'm a guitar player. So I just had this kind of light bulb went off in my head. I should just build a stringed instrument instead, and it has what's called a microcontroller inside of it, and these are just sensors that hook up to the microcontroller. You know, it functions like a guitar, and you can interface with the computer, and also it has some other features which is kind of cool. Like I programmed it to feed back like a guitar. And I programmed it to do the whammy bar, which also can be like a string bend, you know. And this is like my filter, this knob. So it's actually, in a way, it's cooler than a standard MIDI controller keyboard, because it has all these other features that a string instrument has. This only has 4 strings. It only has 10 buttons. You don't have much to work with here, and if you're trying to play solo, you got to be creative. So one of the things I think about is I look at this as a grid, not just like a fretboard, and I do you know, these are, let me show you, these are rhythms. So you got to be creative, and how are you going to use this stuff? You know? So then, also, I have 2 samples going here. I have a bass and I have a drum. And the bass, you know, I use this string to control the pitch. So these 2 strings are dedicated to rhythms, and these are to pitch. I'm triggering a rhythm. Basically, I hit this fret, and it's sending a message to my computer to play a particular sample with a certain rhythm, a dotted quarter, a quarter note, or 8th note, dotted 8th note, you know. So that's basically how that works. This is actually the 3rd one. The first one I made was completely out of plexiglass, which is like what this is, and it was wireless. It was actually pretty awesome, but I did something wrong with it, and after 2 weeks it broke. And then I made another one, and that one didn't work so well. So this is the 3rd one, and this basically took 2 weeks of just 9 to midnight, just getting up in the morning and just doing it and building it and testing it out. And still things break, and I have to fix things all the time. You know, I just changed a string. So, you know, it's took 2 weeks basically to make. This instrument I created in 2009. I started working on it, but it wasn't actually like, this particular one wasn't done until 2010, so it's kind of a new thing for me. And I have plans to make another one with 6 strings and like more buttons and like lights and just like more fully featured. This is like the first real one that worked. But before that, I was, you know, I've been playing guitar since I was 14. So, and I've been a professional musician, you know, since I was like 19 maybe. So, you know, I've been playing music forever. I try and approach each song differently. For this particular piece that I did, I sampled these monks from Mongolia, and I just kind of made a loop out of it. So I kind of use that for a drone, and then you know, I like to think of like constructing samples that go with each other. So this is like a, let me see, that's like a bowl that they use in Buddhist meditation, you know? You know, when they're meditating. That's just like a piece of, and I used a lot of drums like from Africa and stuff. And I have this. So, actually, it's one of the things that I noticed was like, if I tried to get like really futuristic and like techie, it didn't feel right, because this instrument is like so you know, artificial. It's like not acoustic at all. So I just naturally, when I try and write songs for this instrument, I always go towards like acoustic and really like as simple as possible type music, you know, because I just wanted to come across and not be like so alienating, you know, to people. I'm currently playing with Chico Hamilton, who's you know, a jazz legend, and he's a huge influence on me too in terms of composing and just actually he showed me a lot. I use a lot of what he showed me on this instrument, because he doesn't like you to play really flashy music. He wants you to just play soulful music with a lot of phrasing. And on this, you know, I don't have as much facility as a guitar, so I use a lot of like this kind of slurry type stuff. You know, slurring and bending and stuff, it's actually, you know, you can't really just like shred on this like a guitar, so you gotta like use a lot of like inflection, and that's, you know, I learned that from Chico Hamilton basically. Bach is like my, I play Bach for about an hour a day on the guitar. I like John Coltrane, I like Charlie Parker, I like this book actually, let me just grab this. This book has been pretty amazing. The Technique of My Musical Language by Oliver Messiaen. I went through this. I have a lot of influences and like compositional techniques that I've just kind of gotten over the years, and the Schillinger method actually I use a lot too, which is something created by Schillinger in the early 20th century, and it's about taking like the most simple elements and just expanding it into a whole composition, and I found that that's it's also a really organic way to create music. So I use that for like everything, you know, and even in playing this instrument, it's probably like seems so far-fetched, because it was conceived to like write classical music, but I know Gershwin used it, and I think maybe Irving Berlin, and it translates to everything, including jazz and including this. I think if I could just leave something behind, like a piece of music or a composition that other people would like to listen to and remember me by, and make them feel good, that would be the best goal I think I could possibly, you know, achieve.